What's up, everybody? My name is Brad, and today I've got another book review for you guys, and I'm going to be talking about Murder House by C.V. Hunt. This was a digital ARC I did receive from the publisher Atlat Press. I think I'm saying that right. It's ATL. ATL is how it's spelled. I actually asked them how to pronounce it. They sent me a video on YouTube with the pronunciation. I watched it just a few minutes ago, and I'm still probably butchering the name. But anyway, thank you to them for sending this out my way. Like I said, I did reach out to them, and they were kind enough to send this ARC to me for review. The book, it is out already. It came out, I want to say May 28th, somewhere right around the end of May. It is a novella. It was about 128 some odd pages. And my reading time for it, I actually read it pretty quick for how fast I read. It was just a couple hours in total reading time. But anyway, I'll get into reading the synopsis for you guys and then talk about my thoughts and everything about the book. It's not the house you should be afraid of. It's the people who live there. Laura's boyfriend, Brent, is an author, and he's writing a true crime book about the Hallows Eve massacre. The publisher has given Brent a tight deadline and the opportunity to stay in the house where the massacre took place. But the basement creeps Laura out, and she's left questioning her sanity after she sees things that may or may not be there. When Brent begins to act strange, Laura writes it off to the pressure of his deadline. Is Laura really losing her mind, or is there something in the house that's changing the couple? So again, a broken record. At the beginning of every review, I always say, this person is a new-to-me author. Same applies here. C.V. Hunt is a new-to-me author. I've heard a lot about her. I've heard her name floated around a lot in the different Twitter circles I follow. So based off of her name and the title of the book and the cover, I really like the cover art. This was a book I wanted to read. So again, thank you to the publisher for sending me an ARC of this. But this is my first experience with C.V. Hunt. What she does with this book is she takes all of the familiar haunted house tropes that we are accustomed to and are used to seeing in these types of books, and she just completely devours them and then vomits them back out across the page in this highly unpredictable and just strange tale. At the beginning of the book, it starts out with sort of a newspaper clipping from the Detroit Free Press that is talking about the aftermath of this Hallows Eve massacre, all these murders and deaths that occurred in this house. And after reading that opening, I thought this story was going to go a certain way. I thought I knew the type of story I was in for, but I couldn't have been more wrong about that. C.V. Hunt definitely subverted my expectations for what I thought I was getting myself into. As the synopsis says, we follow Laura and her, sorry, there's a bug in here. We follow Laura and her writer boyfriend, Brent. They're down on their luck. They're barely scraping by. They're basically shopping at the dollar stores, going to a used furniture store and sort of lying their way to getting a deal on cheaper mattresses. So they're just sort of down on their luck, and they are moving into the infamous murder house so Brent can write a true crime novel about the lurid past of the house, the horrible events that took place here. In saying that, Laura and Brent's relationship, it is toxic at best. Brent is a A-plus world-class douchebag. I did not like him at all. I actually loathed his character. He was lazy, he was demeaning, he was mentally abusive, just basically ignoring anything Laura had to say or do. He expected her to wait on him hand and foot, and I didn't really see why she was still with him. I think they've been together, they've been boyfriend and girlfriend. I think it said something like 15 years or something like that. And I just kept wondering, why was she with him? She knows that he doesn't love her. She doesn't think she loves him anymore. And it really made me think of like in high school where a girl would be going out with a guy and everyone knew he wasn't good for her. He didn't treat her right. And the joke was if you would ask her why she wouldn't break up with him, she would say something along the lines of, well, I can't break up with him because my CDs are still in his truck. Some lame non-excuse like that. I feel like that was sort of the case here. Laura didn't break up with Brent, even though she knew it was a bad relationship. She knew it was toxic, knew she didn't, or that he didn't love her anymore, because she had fallen into this pattern. Excuse me. She had fallen into this pattern. They were used to each other, accustomed to each other, and maybe she didn't have anything else to go to. So that's the relationship we're dealing with here, this toxic relationship. And as the story goes on, as bad as the relationship is at the beginning, it crumbles and deteriorates and gets even worse as the story goes along. This is a bleak, methodically paced psychological horror. It deals with themes of depression and mental illness and poverty. And Laura, she's our narrator for this story, but she's possibly an unreliable narrator. As I said, they're barely scraping by, so Laura was taking medicine, but she can't afford her medicine anymore. So she's off her medication, and due to that, she may or may not can be trusted based on what she's telling us she's seeing. You know, are the things she's seeing and experiencing, are they really happening, or are they hallucinations? Are they based off of something that maybe is in the house? Is it because she's off her medicine? We really don't know. And C.V. Hunt does not give us all the answers. She does a good job of leaving a lot open to the reader's interpretation in this book. Another thing I really liked about this book was the setting. I love it when a setting becomes a character all on its own. Here in this story, we're in Detroit, and we've all seen pictures of Detroit of how it's just abandoned, and there's these derelict, empty buildings, you know, boarded up. The yards have grown over, you know, just this urban decay setting. And that added a lot to the story, I think. The urban decay and the creepiness added to the sort of uneasy, unsettling feeling that lingers throughout the rest of the story. There's these homes and businesses that are just sort of ghosts and skeletons of what they used to be, these homes and buildings that have been left out to rot in a world that has moved on. And that added to like the isolation and like maybe claustrophobic and just sort of, you know, insanity, or the breaking of sanity, adding that all into the story. You know, not only is maybe Laura's sanity breaking, but the setting and what she's surrounded by sort of added to that, this isolation feeling. Nobody else is around. You know, all these buildings are empty and crumbling around her, sort of like her sanity might be crumbling. As I said earlier, that this story was, I thought I sort of knew maybe where this story was headed, but it was highly unpredictable. At the end, it takes a sharp left turn just out of nowhere, and the ending had me just thinking, you know, what the hell did I just read? What the hell just happened? It's a bit abrupt and a bit ambiguous. And when I finished the ending, I immediately flipped back to the beginning, the opening, where it's talking about the massacre, and read through there for maybe some clues as to what had been going on. But it is still a very ambiguous story overall. A lot is left open to the reader's interpretation about what they think's real and what's not real, and what's really going on and what's not. At the time when I finished this, there were only two other people, two other reviewers that I respect and are great reviewers that I knew had read it already, Sadie and Jamie, and I reached out to them on Twitter and asked them what their thoughts were, and we sort of all had the same, came to the same conclusions in that we weren't really sure what was going on. You know, I don't want to say too much more, but we all sort of enjoyed it. I think they enjoyed it more than I did. But we're all left with our own interpretations, which I think was the point that C.V. Hunt was trying to do, leaving it open to the reader to interpret what they thought was going on. Aside from that, I wish there was maybe a little bit more concrete, you know, telling us what actually happened. I don't need everything spelled out and spoon-fed to me, but I would have liked just a little less ambiguity and maybe just a few more answers, but I don't need everything spelled out for me. So that's my only tiny nitpick about it, is it was maybe just a tiny bit too ambiguous for my taste. But aside from that, I really enjoyed and liked C.V. Hunt's writing. I don't know if this is the style of writing she always has for everything, or if it was just for this particular story. But her writing, it felt dirty and grungy and grimy, sort of like the setting. It almost had like a punk rock sort of vibe to her words. I really dug her writing style, and I'm really looking forward to diving into the Halloween Fiend come around October. I really want to read more of her stuff. But after I read it, I just sort of felt just sort of grimy and just unclean, and I needed to go, take a shower to wash off all of the dirt and grime and the blood and gore that occurred in the story. But in closing, this was a haunting, bleak, and unrelentingly original tale. Murder House by C.V. Hunt isn't afraid to turn the haunted house genre on its head and allows the reader to come to their own conclusions about what really happened within those blood-stained walls. For me, I'm giving Murder House by C.V. Hunt 3.5 stars, rounded up to 4 for Amazon and Goodreads. I did enjoy the book overall. I just wish there was a little bit more answers that we would have gotten to the story. But overall, I really thoroughly enjoyed her writing. Her writing was fantastic. So if you like morally gray, ambiguous stories where we don't get all the answers, I think you should check it out. But if you're a person that does need everything to be explained to you, this one might not be the one for you. But I'll be interested to hear your thoughts if you've read Murder House down in the comments, what you thought about it. Try not to spoil anything for anybody. If you're going to do spoilers, do spoilers and tab down where they can't see the full comment. Or you can hit me up on Twitter and my messages. My messages are open, I believe, so you can message me on Twitter if you've read it, and maybe talk about what you thought was actually going on within the story. But that's all I have for you guys today. Again, this has been my 3.5 star review of Murder House by C.V. Hunt. I did thoroughly enjoy, even though I didn't love the story, I really, really loved her writing style. But anyway, thanks for spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.